My name is Harry Keely. I am the Vice President of the Junior Tennis Foundation, and I'm thrilled to have all of you here for this, our 34th annual event. I think it's absolutely incredible. I think it's absolutely incredible the level of talent of tennis players. They're both sitting here, and some of their names are on the wall and the plaques here also. The Junior Tennis Foundation, in its existence, has given $2 million to fulfill its purpose of supporting junior tennis players and disadvantaged people in the community. Tonight, from the Junior Tennis Foundation, my boss, Bob Ingersoll, Dale Caldwell is here, our secretary, an inductee. Jared Snyder, one of our newer members. I think he's here. I think he's here somewhere. Now, this event takes a lot of time to develop because there's an awful lot of research that has to be done. And I know what you're thinking. How much research do you need for this panel of people who are being inducted? But a lot of care goes into it. Newspaper clippings, we've got binders. I've got some of the binders. I have to give them back up. An enormous amount of thought is given to make the selections. The chair for our selection committee is Marina Nudo. She couldn't be here tonight. She is absolutely tireless and does a marvelous job. Other of our friends who are here tonight on the Eastern board, Katrina Campbell, Indranel Debnath, Larry Dillon, Lopa Zielinski, Maria Gorski, who gave me a nice hint about if I've got fake tickets for inoculations, I shouldn't sell them more than closer than 250 yards from the main gate. Oh, that was no. Ari Roberts is here. He's the secretary on our board. Maria's our treasurer. Olga Harvey is here, our vice president, Olga. And Perrin Wong, our president. He's here also. Now, the selection committee does an awful lot of work for this, but without Jenny Snitzer and her Eastern group, this thing would never get off the ground. So Jenny, give a big hand for Jenny and her people. From USTA National, Brian Hainline is here, Kathy Francis. Mr. Hainline is also a Hall of Fame member. Katrina Adams is here. Lloyd Emanuel. Nick Garofis is here. Skip Hartman. Ron Holmberg. Carol Wright. Ricky Meyer. Renee Richards is here. Steve Ross is right there. If you want to play a singles match and it takes 4 hours, he's the person to play. Dick Savage is here. And Steve Siegel is here. Now, since our last gathering, COVID showed up and knocked everybody for a loop. And thank you all very much for your masks tonight, your social distancing tonight, and all the protocols. I guess Dr. Hainline knows a lot about it. He was in the New York Times yesterday. But we're coming out of the COVID thing, and unbelievably, one of the biggest beneficiaries, if I can be so crude about it, for the COVID is the game of tennis. The game of tennis has increased 44%, someone told me, or I read it. And because it's not only the game of your lifetime, it's a safe game for your lifetime, and it certainly can be for your lifetime. Now, while we were closed down, the Junior Tennis Foundation started to look at itself. Well, how relevant are we? It's been around a long time. It's got a very sexy name. How can you not like Junior Tennis Foundation, not like Navy SEALs? I mean, it's a wonderful title for an organization. So the board, we figured out what to do. I know. What we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of the increased popularity of tennis, our safe sport. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Well, to meet the challenge, we turned around and hired Mark Mcintyre. Now, I first met Mark Mcintyre when I was playing tennis on a Wednesday night at the RCTA, which is a beautiful clay court facility on the Hudson River. And that RCTA, my experience with that was one of the principal reasons that I am such a tremendous fan of Mark Mcintyre's. If he can do for the Junior Tennis Foundation what he did for a pile of rocks, and anybody try to play there when you were a kid? And there were rocks, how can you play with rocks on the court? So he did such a marvelous job that we wanted to hire him and did hire him as our executive director. Mark, as you know, was a former Eastern president and developed RCTA. He's extraordinarily experienced in nonprofits and how to get them coordinated with the community and how to outsource things, and everybody likes him. If he asks you for something, you're going to give it to him. And I'll make a suggestion in a minute. Now, I know Mark from working on bylaws with him for 10 or 12 years. We did a lot of writing, we did a lot of figuring out stuff, and we did a pretty good job. But it occurred to me, as we were doing it, that at the end of tonight's presentation, I'm going to endorse over my law degree. I'm going to give it to him because he did an enormous, wonderful job on the bylaws, and I think we need an applause and a welcoming for Mark Mcintyre. Now, Mark, his email address is mark@juniortennisfoundation.org. Now, I'm not very good with computers, so I gave him a check before we started tonight. And he thinks, well, why did he do that? He knows why I gave him a check, because if I tried to use the website and press the button, I am afraid that my donation would go to a basketball or a volleyball team in the Arctic Circle. So that's why I gave him a check. So contact Mark. He'll run you through the website, and you will find the button. And the button on the website is your way to easily make a donation to the Junior Tennis Foundation. Okay, the housekeeping is done. The Junior Tennis Foundation housekeeping is done. And it's a thrill to turn this evening over to Mary Carrillo. Yeah, I felt horrible standing in front of her because of who she is. And let me see, my notes say, what does it say? It says, you are famous as a broadcaster. Yes. You've done the Olympics, tennis, and other sporting events. You've got an Emmy and a Peabody a couple of times. Am I okay so far?
Yeah.
All right. All right.
I love this.
All right.
Add stuff. Add stuff
okay.
That's not true.
Oh, no. Oh, this one is true. This one is true. And the French Open mixed doubles title with John Doe. John Doe. What, all right, John Doe. All right.
Whatever happened to him?
I don't know. Where is he tonight? Okay. Now, anybody familiar? I just met Mary, but I've seen you on television, and anyone who has seen Mary's work, she is insightful. She knows what she's talking about. She's got professional credentials. She's got a very nice sense of humor. When she describes things on the television, she doesn't hammer and criticize. She is kind, and you're a thrill to listen to as you're doing our sport. Now, she grew up in Eastern. You're back home in Eastern.
I am.
The evening is yours.
Oh, boy, thank you so much. Thank you very much, Harry. It's great to be here. I've never even been to the River Club. What a joint. How can I have never been here?
I don't know.
It's unbelievable. I love this place, and it's full of history. The names on these, I know a lot of the names on these walls. It's a remarkable place. There's so much Eastern tennis history here in this room right now. A lot of people, it's good to see you all again and to meet you. Tonight we acknowledge 6 extraordinary individuals who burnished and enriched the history of Eastern tennis. Dr. Emily Moore, give it up. Dr. Harold Gurman, I didn't see that coming. We've got some Gurman fans here. All right. I guess I'm going to find out why soon. Also in the house, Freddie Boutus, a legend. This has become a bit of a competition. Let's not get out of hand. Dr. Dale Caldwell is in the house. And a couple of more people, Ilana Kloss and Billie Jean King. No, you didn't. I think honestly, Harold Gurman won that one. All right, tonight we induct into the Eastern Tennis Hall of Fame. Obviously, there's a deep connection with tennis, but these people bring so much more, something beyond tennis. And what they really share is the theme of this evening's celebration, something that exemplifies the mission of the Junior Tennis Foundation, as outlined by Harry. On the website of New York Junior Tennis and Learning, one of the worthy programs supported by the Junior Tennis Foundation, we note the presence of Skip Hartman, who started out my man Skip. Skip, again, not as much as the Gurmans. Sorry. He's an Eastern Hall of Famer. There's a quote from the late, great Arthur Ashe. He had a lot of great stuff to say. One of them, he was one of the original inductees into the Eastern Tennis Hall of Fame. By the way, I've won some stuff before. This is the greatest looking trophy of all time. I can't get over it. Anyway, one of Arthur's quotes says, "Through tennis, lives can be changed," and that is also what we're celebrating tonight. Our 6 inductees have changed lives. Yes, through tennis, beyond tennis. Dr. Harold Gurman, for example, he didn't just change lives, he saved them. Under fire. If you don't know about this man, on the battlefield in Southeast Asia, as a naval surgeon, an act of bravery got him a Bronze Star. Yes, I know. And these are your people. Right. Dr. Emily Moore has most certainly changed the lives of hundreds of children through her tennis programs on Long Island. But she also affected countless lives as a Peace Corps volunteer in Nigeria. We celebrate that. Yeah. Dr. Dale Caldwell had the vision to establish the Black Tennis Hall of Fame. It honors great players from the past whose achievements were so long overlooked by the history books. Freddie Boutus, He came to this country as a refugee. With, as he noted in his memoirs, more hope than luggage. He went on to create a more open and welcoming tennis culture in New York City. And then there's Billie Jean King and Alana Kloss. How many girls around the world, how many boys, how many kids, how many grown-ups have taken up the sport because of their relentless advocacy? I don't think you can attach a number to that. I know. This commitment to serve others and to change lives unites our 6 inductees. That's why this is such a special collection of humanity. We honor them tonight both for their tennis-related accomplishments, which are great, and also for an active and engaged commitment to civil rights, to social justice, and to gender and racial equality. I mean, these people, they bring it. They bring it. Yeah. The Junior Tennis Foundation and the Hall of Fame Selection Committee, they feel it's important to recognize these accomplishments and also to ensure that the Hall of Fame better reflect the broad diversity of our section. Go Eastern. Yeah. So tonight you're going to hear little parts of these fabulous people, their big stories, but I urge you to keep hold of those programs and read the more extended version of their lives and their journeys, because honestly, they're all remarkable. Without further ado, let's meet our inductees and their presenters. First, Dr. Emily Moore, presenting the Reverend Dr. Serretta Mcknight. This woman, I know. She has been described as the quintessential Renaissance woman, compassionate, creative, dedicated, dynamic, responsive, and sensitive. Wow. She's an activist, a minister, and an author. Among many other activities and accomplishments, please welcome the Reverend Dr. Serretta Mcknight.
You can do better than that. Beloved, I believe in God and God's divine order for the universe. I am blessed to come from an ancestry that gave the world civilization. The blood which flows through these veins is royal. Of the queens and kings of Africa, I reaffirm my commitment to that ancestry and to the present day struggle of my people educationally, economically, socially, politically, and spiritually on this 27th day of August in the year of our Lord 2021, where we are celebrating the 34th annual Eastern Tennis Hall of Fame celebration. And we gather here tonight, beloved, to benefit the Junior Tennis Foundation Grant and Scholarship Program. Mark, you're doing a marvelous job. Keep up the good work. I have certainly to all of these distinguished honorees, I have the privilege and the pleasure of being able to present my teacher. I know, hard to believe. But she was my 7th grade teacher, my 7th grade physical education teacher. Wow. And I am honored, I am just pleased as punch beyond to be able to say I am glad to present to you Dr. Emily Moore. Well, Mary, the reason why is I'm a product of her teaching. I'm a product of her commitment to children. I'm a product of her commitment to community and to service. It wasn't just about the work done on the court, but the work done off of the court as well. And so that is one of the reasons that I'm glad to be able to present her. You can read her bio in your program this evening. But beloved, let me just share a couple of things with you. Thank you so much, Mary. Let me share a couple of things that are not in the program. You'll see in there where when she was at Morgan State, she was arrested, her civil disobedience, her activism, and that it caught national attention, and Dr. King himself showed up to work with that group of young people. But what you do not see is that she's one of the members, one of the founding members of the preeminent civil rights organization of the 21st century, the National Action Network, that will be in Washington, D.C. tomorrow as we go to protect our voting rights for all Americans. You won't see in there that she is the third of 6 children, that Emily has always been responsible her entire life. But what you will see is that she is an educator par excellence. So for a couple of minutes, let's just refer to the ABCs. Is that all right? Yeah. In other words, when we think about Queen Mother Moore, as we affectionately call her, we say A, she is athletic, she's an agitator, she's assertive, and she is an activist. B, she is bold, she is brave, and she's a barrier breaker.
Nice. No pressure.
Listen, C, her character, her courage, her commitment, her charisma, and beloved, her keeping of the culture makes her one to be reckoned with. I'm telling you, this sister was talking intergenerational, talking integration, talking humanity before it became popular. Okay, crunch, crunch. I got somebody's toes. Crunch, crunch. So, beloved, tonight, I am absolutely pleased. Gary Battle, where are you, Dr. Battle? Another one of her outstanding students. Oh, the last thing I have to tell you, in the program, it talks about her 1975 founding the Alliance Junior Tennis Development program that has educated a slew of children from colleges, Ivy Leagues to community colleges. They're just doing outstanding, outstanding work across the length and breadth of the country. But what it does not tell you, it does not tell you that Emily Moore has raised more children than many folk have birthed over several lifetimes. It does not tell you that she still cares, she's still committed, and sometimes we have to tell her, Queen Mother, you've got to take a rest, because she puts the Energizer Bunny to shame at some times. So, beloved, without further ado, allow me to introduce to some, to present to others, one whom we love, and I mean we love her, on Strong Island, across the country, around the world. There is none other than this sister, our teacher, our beloved. Listen, because this thing been in existence longer than 1975 that they talking about, because y'all know good and well that I am older than that. But beloved, without further ado, I need you to rest on your feet. Rest up, that means stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Give it up for Dr. Emily Moore.
No pressure.
We just are our presenter.
Good evening. Good evening. I have to say one thing about Dr. Serretta Mcknight. When the Congresswoman Carolyn McCarthy retired, she opened up the Congress that year. I don't even remember the year, but we all went down to the House of Washington, D.C., and the big Carolyn McCarthy goodbye. But she was the minister for the Congress. So hopefully, and as a student, like I said, I had it in 7th grade. Good evening. It gives me great pleasure to let you know how much I appreciate your support and recognition of Eastern Hall of Fame. In today's world, there are many challenges. It is individuals like you who have made a difference in our society. A better world is up to all of us to work together to build with love and respect in our country if we are going to be successful. I thank my family, Alliance Junior Tennis Development, Pyramid Tennis Association, Harlem Junior Tennis, American Tennis Association, United States Tennis Association, Daniel Burgess Tennis Academy, Althea Gibson, Ash, Jackie Robinson, Alvelia Myers, Wilma Rudolph, Vitas Geralditis, and Billie Jean King. Yeah. So, and my motto is dare to struggle, dare to win, no struggle, no victory. Life is what we make it, and nothing is promised to us but hard work and discipline and never give up. And it's about the children. If we train and educate our children, they will be able to survive whatever they have to contend in this society today. Even though we have many challenges today, I was at the park with about 6 challenging children. And I told the parents that I will continue to work with them. They physically challenged. Some are autistic and have different. I told your parents, I said, you don't even realize you got a genius walking in your house every day. But you have to make sure they get the development and the training they're supposed to get. Have a nice day, everybody. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you.
I've got to tell you, halfway through Dr. Wright's introduction, Billie, I'm supposed to be introducing Billie Jean and Alana. Halfway through, Reverend Wright, raising the roof, Billie looked at me and said, "You're fired." That's how tenuous this entire evening has become. But who can blame her? Who else among the people here want Reverend Wright to introduce us? Everybody. All right, the next speaker is Ron Holmberg, who I've known for a long time. Former world number 7. He played Davis Cup 4 times for the U.S. He reached the semis of the U.S. National Championships. He got to the quarters of the French. After retiring from international competition, Ron had a long teaching career in the section. He was inducted into the Eastern Hall of Fame in 1990. Please welcome Ron Holmberg.
Thank you, Mary. I think you're all warmed up by now, so I'm happy to hear that. How are you all doing? Come on. You sound very well. That's much better. I'd like to give you a little introduction to Freddie Boutus's story, really from the beginning, right up till tonight. And I'll make it concise and hope we don't go on, and that's why I have my notes. Thank you. Freddie Boutus was a Czechoslovakian who went to Germany to work for the U.S. Army, Special Services, and started to teach tennis. He later migrated to Australia, and in so doing, he worked on his own game, became friendly with Harry Hopman, who most of you know, and became one of Harry Hopman's hitting partners all the time in Australia. In 1952, Freddie came to the United States and came right here to where we are tonight, to the River Club, to be the assistant pro. And when the head pro retired, that was Bill Douglas, the club made Freddie the head pro because of his excellent playing ability, his work ethic, his rapport with the members, and his magnetic personality. Nevertheless, Freddie kept everyone happy. In the summers, for approximately 12 years, he was the head pro at the Rockaway Hunt Club down in Cedarhurst, Long Island. This is where I met Freddie when I was 15 years old. Long story short, he liked the way I played. He became good friends. Obviously, it became a very close, mutually respectful relationship of 68 years. Very unique. Freddie had the knack of working with his students in a very pleasant manner, and he always made teaching both adults and juniors very pleasant. It was always fun. From 1963 to 72, Freddie opened 4 or 5 successful tennis facilities, always influencing his friends to come play tennis with him and have various social events. Together with various social events, he got his friends to enjoy the club more than they ever would have in any other way. In 72, Freddie established Tennis Fort in Long Island City, the gem of his many successes with 16 indoor and 14 outdoor courts, and it became the hub of tennis in the New York area with many high-profile people because they were treated like real tennis players, not just names. It had good tennis, social events, but most of all, it had Freddie. Some of those names were Bishop Fulton J. Sheen, Mayor John Lindsay, the Forsman brothers, Jack Dreyfus, Dina Merrill, Gary Marshall, and Roz Walter. Roz Walter you may have seen on public television. This is presented by Roz Walter's firm. She was a dynamic supporter of Freddie. Top players such as Virginia Wade, Renee Richards, the Gangler sisters, Tony Vincent, John McEnroe, Billie Jean King, Roy Emerson, Ken Rosewall, Rod Laver, and myself were all beneficiaries of Freddie's generosity and love of helping others. Through the entire process leading up to tonight, I would like to mention and thank a few people who gave total support to Freddie's nomination and induction. First of all, Dr. Renee Richards, sitting in the back. She started the ball rolling and called me and said to see if I could help in any way. Skip Harton, over here. The head honcho for years, the NYJTL, and immediately sent a supportive letter backing Freddie. The NYJTL has supported up-and-coming players, especially juniors, for years, and also donated enormously to many charities, not only for tennis, but for academics. So Skip, congratulations. Part of tonight, for I think most of the people here that have been involved in the game, is not only is it a fun night to see everybody, but the camaraderie between each one. There are stories that could go between each person, and nobody would ever believe them. They're not exaggerated, much less lies, but hardly anybody would believe any of them. And I think everybody will agree with that I'm speaking about. Marina Nudo, Jennifer Snitzer, Mark McIntyre, all of the Hall of Fame committee, who were so helpful in making this night come to fruition. And to Butch Seawagon, who was invaluable and is so disappointed that he was not able to come tonight. I'd like to thank all past inductees who are here tonight, also some historic names in the tennis world who, by being here, make it extra special for the class being inducted tonight. Some of those would be Dick Savage, who just had to leave, Billie Jean King, Alana Claus, give it up, Renee Richards, and Skip Harton. I also reached out to some top players and other top names in the game, all good friends, and they all had similar responses. If you need support for Freddie's nomination, just call or text, and you'll have it immediately. I'm sorry not to name all of them, there's just too many to name, and I might have a senior moment and forget someone of the above. One reply I did consider very special, from the person I consider to be the best male player of all time and a dear friend, Rod Laver. He stated explicitly to me, it would be an honor to be mentioned in any way in Freddie's induction to the Eastern Hall of Fame. Very elegantly stated and very emotional for me because Rocket is that type of person, to say the least. Freddie wrote a book of memoirs a few years ago. The title was Thank You, America and Tennis. I'm sure Freddie would agree with me The subtitle should be "Thank you to my wife, Annegret, and to my daughter, Andrea, who support him 100% and help carry out all of his many acts of generosity, not only to people like Renee and myself, but to all of his fellow pros, students, and the many lives he touched in so many ways. Annegret and Andrea, I hope you feel the same love and appreciation that Freddie feels tonight, because you both were a large part of the gratitude expressed for a lifetime of giving to our great sport. Thanks to my beautiful wife, Sylvia, for being here with me tonight, and thanks to the Botur family for inviting me, Sylvia, and my buddy Bob Rico to share the excitement of Freddie's celebration. Thank you also to two of my close friends in the tennis world, Steve Flink and Rod Laver, who gave such glowing accolades because of the respect and admiration of Freddie. To Annegret, Andrea, and Freddie, we love you. To the people who are here tonight supporting the event, thank you so much for coming. And to tonight's inductees, focus on what's happening so you'll never forget it. My induction was over 30 years ago, and I remember every detail. Lastly, I'll leave you with the cherry on top of the sundae. As for myself, presenting Freddie for induction into the Eastern Hall of Fame is one of my most satisfying tennis experiences, and it's certainly well-deserved. God bless you. Drive carefully. Stay safe. Freddie, congratulations. You are sensational.
Thank you very much. I feel very honored to be here, and I thank the committees and the people who were actually helpful to do it. It was a long way. You know, the guy like me at my age, which I'm starting from zero after the February 1st, which will be 100. So it is very difficult it's very difficult to follow the other people before me. They said everything very flattering about me. And the only thing which I think I should say, I was asked while I was sitting out there, what was the pinnacle and the best things in your tennis which you experienced. And one was when in 1968, Jack Kramer approached me when I opened my first tennis club in the Armory. Somebody like me, you know, just a complete foreigner and beginner here in the Greenhorn in the United States, and said, Freddie, you have this big place. The Madison Square Garden doesn't want us. The White Plains doesn't want us. You know, you think you can put some about $15,000 to run our tournament. Well, I was very flattered and I was excited, so I asked my two friends, so we each of us put $5,000 each. And that time, the finals of the tournament, I'll never forget it, was Gonzalez against Laver, and dancing the reporter, sports reporter, and then later 2 pages on New York Times the longest tennis match ever, 5.5 hours. So this was one of those. And the second one was when about months later, here I see one of my witnesses out there, Billie King, when Gladys Herdman, another one, I thought to myself, I was nobody that time, just Freddie Boutur. But he had a place. He had a big hall, and we could seat about 5,000 people actually. And she said, Gladys said, would you run the Virginia Slims? I said, sure, why not? Well, I would try to get you a sponsor, maybe some cigarette people and so on. But unfortunately, didn't work out. And here was I again, putting my own money by myself to start Virginia Slim with $15,000. So these were the two biggest events so far. And then the rest of it is so many which you collect in your mind in so many years, but still my mind is still working, so I'm trying to remember many of those things. So I want to thank also my family who came here, all my friends from Germany, San Diego, Florida, and so on. So thank you all for coming and witness my induction. So the only last thing I mentioned, is not a joke, but at the age of 92, my grandchildren started to play tennis. And one of the days, one of them comes to me and says, "Oh, Papa, so how did you start? Whatever happened?" I said, "Well," he said, "why don't you write it?" I said, "So, because what we hear, you are 92 and you are sick, and they say you will die soon." So I am still here at 100. And that's what I thank my family and all of you, Jean, and thank you very much. And God bless America.
How great is this? All right, our next speaker is Steve Siegel. A lot of you know him, right? Steve, he's a top-ranked Eastern junior. He went on to play for the University of Miami, and then he played in the pros as well. He enjoyed a fruitful career on the Eastern men's circuit. He was #1 ranked player in the men's 35s, the men's 40s, the men's 45s. He's a teaching pro for over 40 years. And he was inducted into the Eastern Hall of Fame back in 2017. Please welcome Steve Siegel.
Good evening. Good evening. How's everybody tonight? I just want to start off, it's a little hard to follow what just came up. And I'm afraid that Dr. Gurman did not know that I failed speech in my junior year of high school. So I'll do my best. Just want to start by saying that you've probably heard of some of Harold's accomplishments, but I just want to add that being 6 years younger, he's my friend for over 60 years, my doctor for 40 years, and a great friend who I had the pleasure of getting to practice with. So I will take you back to 1959. I was 10. Harold was 16. His high school, Dickinson High School of Jersey City, was playing Teaneck High School in the semifinals of the state championship of New Jersey. And my brother Barry was playing on the team. So I drove to Princeton with my parents and my brother Barry. And I said, Barry, how do you like your chances against Dickinson? He said, well, Steve, I'll tell you what. I've never been happier to play second singles in my life because they have Harold Gurman. He's a nationally ranked player. I said, I didn't know what that meant. I said, oh, is he good? Anyway, I said, well, listen, the guy who plays one for Teaneck is Buddy Fink. He's the captain of the basketball team. He's the most likely to succeed. He was the prom king of the school, and he was just a great athlete. Do you think Buddy will do okay? Barry said, I don't think so. So we get to the courts, and the number one singles was played on the first court. And I couldn't wait to see the guy, I heard so much about. And out walks Buddy. And Buddy's all decked out in his Fred Perry gear, his Dunlop Flash sneakers. Some of you people will know what that outfit was. And of course, Buddy had his collar up. Joe Cool, right? 6'4", basketball captain. And the guy walking alongside, I didn't really know who he was. Buddy had 4 rackets under his arm with Buddy Fink on the front and Teaneck, New Jersey on the back. This was Buddy. And I looked over, and I didn't know who he was playing, but the guy had a T-shirt that was about 4 sizes too small, the ugliest pair of shorts that I have ever seen in my life. You wouldn't be allowed on the golf course with these shorts. And as he turned around, I've never seen a thicker pair of glasses in my life. And I'm going, oh my God, how's he gonna see the ball? It's like really sunny up here, right? So they start to warm up. I go, look, he's not bad. But I think Buddy's gonna take him. I'm 10, Buddy's my idol. I'm not even watching my brother, right? He's on the second court. And with that, Harold shouted out, I'm ready anytime you are. Whoa. This guy's pretty confident. Buddy says, listen, I need a few more overheads. I'm not ready yet. It's okay. And he took about 10 overheads. He almost bounced them over the fence. It was very impressive. Now, I want to tell you, that was the last time Buddy ever came to the net. Because once the match started, I saw a human forehand machine. This Harold had the greatest forehand I've ever seen. And I was just starting out myself, and I had no backhand. I said, there might be hope for me. Look at this guy. He's not hitting any backhands at all. All he does is move to his left, hit a forehand as hard as he can. Buddy's digging it out with his backhand. Each shot's getting shorter. Harold puts the ball away down the line. So now, 45 minutes later, I figured, well, Harold just won, shakes Buddy's hand. Maybe I should watch my brother now. So anyway, that was my introduction to Harold. He didn't know who I was. And we'll go to 4 years later. I'm 14 years old, and I heard it was a very good experience to play men's tournaments. So I started playing the Eastern Men's Circuit, which was all over the East. Arlington, New Jersey was the Jersey States. Bayside, Queens was the New York States. Oritani Field Club in New Jersey was the Eastern Clay Courts. And I was not getting past the second round, but I enjoyed watching Harold get to the semis and the finals every week. So this one time I was playing a good player that was seeded, and I was losing, and I noticed in the stands, Harold was watching me. How great was that? He said, I got to win a few points, right? So I lose the match routinely, and I'm walking up the steps at the Oritani Field Club, and at the top of the steps is Harold Gurman. He says, hey, good match. You could have won that match. I go, really? He goes, yeah, really, the guy had more experience than you. You're from Jersey, right? I said, yeah, I live in Jersey. He goes, here's my number. You want to practice sometime? I said, wow, this is amazing. I said, listen, I don't drive. I'm 14. I don't have a car. He says, don't worry. I'll pick you up. You live in Teaneck. I remember your brother. So anyway, that's the start of us getting together. And Harold had an amazing disposition on the court. He was an amazing competitor with top-notch concentration. I was a racket thrower. And when we'd go out and practice, I would notice that every time I threw my racket, Harold would turn his back. I go, what's he doing that for? He was laughing so hard that he got such a kick out of me going crazy on the court. And that was the beginning of him saying, what club do you belong to? And I said, I don't belong to a club, because I thought so. How about joining the Arlington Players Club in Kearney and be my teammate, and we can play matches every Saturday and Sunday? I said, great. You know, this was a great thing. And some of the top New Jersey players played. Fritz Buning, Peter Fleming, Jeff Miller, you name it, Bill Scarlett. These are all Jersey legends. And it was a great experience for me. And, you know, Harold was helping me along the way. Now, before I introduce him, I just want to talk about this one particular tournament that was, in my opinion, his outstanding tournament. And that was the Mountain Lakes Invitational in Mountain Lakes, New Jersey. And this was a tournament for the top 16 players in the East. And the top seeds were Ned Weld, Paul Kranis, and Bob Barker. And I'm not sure if Harold was even seeded. Somehow, I got in the draw. Okay, the tournament started at 10. I was in my car at 11:30. But Harold was still in the tournament, but I was in such a bad mood that I headed back to Teaneck. I was driving by now, I had my license. Anyway, I get the paper 2 days later, and it says, Gurman wins Mountain Lakes. And I'm looking, wow. And then they had the draw sheet. And he beat Ned Weld in the quarterfinals, straight set. Paul Kranis in the semifinals, straight set. Bob Barker to win the tournament. These are all now 3 Hall of Fame players. Now I'm going to tell you about Ned. He was like an icon in New England's section, you know, like Prince or Madonna. He was Ned. How did you do against Ned? How many games did you get against Ned? You know, if you play Ned back, nobody beats him from the backcourt. I had the experience of playing, and I felt like I ran a track meet and got 3 games. So, I wait to call Harold to congratulate him. Call him up. He answers the phone. I said, Harold, great tournament, but I got to ask you, how did you beat Ned? And he goes, well, it was easy, Stevie. I said, what do you mean it was easy? He goes, well, I lost to him twice, like straight sets. And then I figured out, this is the genius of Dr. Gurman. You ready for the strategy? I taught tennis for 30 years. I have never said this to anyone in my life. I hit every ball down the middle. He didn't know what to do. I go, what? What did you do? He goes, these are all angles. He didn't know what to do. I beat him 3-2. So I thought that was awesome. Anyway, at this time, my great friend, Harold Gurman.
Thanks, Stevie. You made me look like I belonged here. I don't know. Well, I wouldn't mind having a pizza right now, but I'm going to have to get through this. Now, this is a tremendous honor to me to be inducted with these great people with me here in the Hall of Fame. My wife claims I've been working on this speech for the past 25 years, so I'm going to give it a go tonight. Tennis has been very good to me. I met my wife, June, at the Central Park tennis courts through a tennis acquaintance. After 50 years, we're still debating as to who asked who to set up this intro. I know my wife did it, though, and she's over there. She set this up, and that's 50 years later. Happily, all my kids picked up the game, and they've all played competitive Eastern tennis, along with my wife also played. My tennis began at the handball wall at Lincoln Park. I wasn't considered good enough to go on a tennis court, but eventually I advanced to the courts. My father, a great student of the game, he placed tennis cans on the backhand corner for me to hit to. Or he hit short balls to me and told me all these balls have to be put away or you're going to lose. And he wanted me to hit him with the forehand. So that's what happened to my backhand. I believe this technique is still being used to the present day. In the wintertime, and this is a plug for global warming, I think it was pretty miserable in the winter. And my dad would go find a broom, a shovel, and there was no tennis net up there, so he'd bring a rope up. And we'd play on some public courts in a park in Jersey City. So at least that was helpful. And my muscles didn't atrophy. Let's see. I think I want to acknowledge all the people that got me here. My mom, who hit with me up in the Catskills and got me to the junior matches. My dad, a lawyer, a Jersey City tennis champ, and a great lover of tennis. When I was away, he'd just go and watch tennis matches. So it's pretty unbelievable. Also, I have to acknowledge my wife, who was my mixed doubles partner until I got too slow, and she threw me off the court. I'd like to acknowledge, and Steve spoke a little bit about this, I have to acknowledge Jimmy Hanlon and Al Lebowski, great men, for getting me into Arlington Tennis Club. And being able to play on these men's tennis matches with some unbelievable tennis players from New Jersey. Jimmy later relates that he let me play in Arlington Tennis Club since I promised not to beat him. And it took me about 5 years before I maybe got the better of him some of the times. I have to pay tribute to my high school and college coaches, John Kelly, John Conroy from Princeton, who later told me not to teach my kids my backhand. So I never felt good about that. And I have to acknowledge my staff who are out there screaming for me. They got me to all my tennis matches. I never missed a one. I don't know how they did it with the practice going on. I'd also like to pay tribute to all the players who hit with me. Let's see, Ron Filatio came down to the med school tennis courts and played with me a bunch. Steve Ross from, I go and play him in Brooklyn. Renee Richards was kind enough to, when she was teaching ophthalmology at St. Albans at St. Albans Naval Hospital, she would come after the teaching session and we'd play on their court. Vern Morgan, I would play at Yankee Stadium court. Let's see who else. We got Molly Van Nostrand and King Van Nostrand. I think I was Molly's hitting partner when she went to the quarters of Wimbledon. I also wound up in Michigan at one time at a wedding, and I went over to Hamtramck and played with one of Billie's girls, Peaches Barkowitz. That wasn't a happy match for me. She was one tough lady. Now, I must have forgot some other people that I hit with. Let's see, bling, boom, 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 boom. Okay, I got them. All right, my most surprising match and win was against Cliff Buckhost at National Juniors at Kalamazoo. He was a former boys 15 runner-up He was also later the boys' 18 runner-up with a win over Arthur. I won the first set against him easy and was up in the second set when from the tower at Stowe tennis facility, the medical director, not the medical, the tennis director, who couldn't believe the posted scores, announced on the loudspeaker that we had to reverse the scores. Now, normally I would freeze up on that kind of a situation, but I hung in there and the match soon ended. Some remember Bill Reardon. He was later manager of Jimmy Connors. He thought this was the major upset of the national junior history. Of interest, my sister Susan, who also played, was a ball person at this tournament. I didn't say ball girl, I said ball person. So I'm on the right. I also played Arthur Ashe in national collegiates, and after the match, he asked me what I was doing after graduation. This was my graduation time. I said I was going to med school, and typical of Arthur, he said he wished he was doing that. I was flabbergasted, really, because he was going to be the top player around. He would have been a great doctor, and I think he still would have won Wimbledon. I'd like to kudos to the Eastern Tennis for a slew of really open state and county tournaments over the years, with the occasional appearance of highly ranked national players like Dick Sabat, Ron Holmberg, Vitas, Gene Scott, Butch Seawagon, and my college teammate Herb Fitzgibbon, among others. My thanks to the committee, Junior Tennis Foundation, Eastern Tennis, Mark Mcintyre, Scott Sode, for making this day possible for me. I'd also like to thank my colleagues, friends, family for coming in. I just have to finish with a Tony Vincent statement. He said he's looking forward to seeing everybody here next year. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody here next year. Okay, thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Ashley Caldwell. Get over here. Ashley is the daughter of our next inductee. She's already building up quite a resume. She was recently named USTA Eastern's New Jersey Region Volunteer of the Year. So, please, everyone, welcome Ashley Caldwell.
It is an honor to be here at the 2021 Eastern Tennis Hall of Fame induction ceremony to introduce my dad. I'm very nervous, but an amazing tennis legend once said, "Pressure is a privilege." Thank you, Billie. It is a true privilege to introduce my dad, Dr. Dale G. Caldwell, EDD, MBA, CLM, ACC, USPTA, PTR, and at one time, CMC and CFP. Whew. He has more letters after his last name than the names Vitus Gerulaitis and Ivan Gulagang combined. Being inducted into the Eastern Tennis Hall of Fame is one of the greatest honors that my dad has ever received. He truly believes that the sport of tennis can change the world. Dad loved being president of Eastern and serving on the USTA Board of Directors. He really enjoyed working with the International Tennis Hall of Fame and curating the Breaking the Barriers exhibit, and he loved working with D.A. Abrams, Bob Davis, and Sheila Curley in developing and growing the Black Tennis Hall of Fame. My dad is also passionate about winning on the tennis court. In addition to receiving national rankings in the USTA and ATA, He received sectional rankings in boys 18 in New England, men's open, and 25 in middle states, men's 30, 35, and 40 in Eastern. Another of the accomplishments he is most proud of winning is the gold medal in the New Jersey Senior Olympics. Dad is also actively working closely with Larry. He created the Global Tennis Alliance. Give it up for Coach Larry. He created the Global Tennis Alliance a decade ago to run the New York Open Pro Tennis Tournament and use tennis, education, employment, and entrepreneurship to reduce poverty around the world. His passion inspires me and many other young people to love the sport of tennis. It is a tremendous honor for me to introduce my dad for his Eastern Tennis Hall of Fame induction speech.
Isn't my daughter amazing? That's really for you, actually. First, it's an honor to be here. I want to thank the induction committee, and there's so many friends in here, and I know time is short, but there are a few things I need to say. First, when I was on the board of the USTA, working with a very good friend, Seth Abraham, I got to know Billie and Ilana. And those are two of the finest human beings I've ever met. They really are. I mean, just genuinely. You need to teach a course on celebrity because we have too many celebrities that just don't get it. So I want to talk about tennis because tennis is like, for many of you, our best friend. Tennis is really the thing that introduces us to people, to opportunities and experiences for our whole life. And so many of you are here because tennis has changed your life. So I want to share my story to give you some insight because we all have our own tennis story. And so it starts before I was born. My dad, who passed away a year ago in September, Reverend Dr. Gilbert H. Caldwell, who knew in March with Dr. King, he grew up in the South and in Texas. And he told stories of being in Galveston, Texas, playing tennis. He was a minister, his dad was a minister, and they would play tennis, but they were denied admission to the white-only tennis club in Galveston, Texas. So he went to divinity school at Boston University in Boston. I was born there, and he vowed that his first son would have opportunities on the tennis court that he never had. And I thank him, and I just wish he was here tonight because I would have had my dad and Ashley introduce us. So with that, I joined the Sportsman's Tennis Club, and a guy named Jimmy Smith was the legendary director. It was one of the early NJTL programs before there was NJTL. And so that helped me develop a love for tennis, but also an understanding of the importance of diversity in tennis. I also have, and I don't know if Bill Ewan is still here, my high school tennis coach. There's Bill Ewan, who coached for 50 years at Hopkins in New Haven. Bill taught me the importance of spiritual, mental, and physical well-being. He was an amazing tennis player who has wins over some great players. He's a very spiritual person, and he was my 7th grade math teacher who made me love math. So tennis does more than that. Also, Dave Benjamin is in here, but David Benjamin, the coach of Princeton, was a real mentor of mine when I was at Princeton and beyond. Eve Kraft, some of you know Eve Kraft, taught me to teach tennis when I was a student at Princeton. And so among these folks have really been inspirational to me. And what I loved about tennis is the diversity of tennis. So when I had an opportunity to become president of the USTA Eastern section, and Gene Scott, who you heard, was one of the folks who really supported me and really helped me become the first and unfortunately only black president of the USTA Eastern section, I vowed in that position that once, and my dad taught me that African Americans often don't have positions of real influence, but when you do have a position, it's important to use that position to try to make a difference in the world. So I wrote a letter to Tony Trabert and Mark Stenning at the International Tennis Hall of Fame, and I said, baseball has done wonderful things with the Negro League. Why don't we do something with the American Tennis Association that many people had never heard of? And much to my surprise, I guess because I had influence as Eastern president, they agreed to do an exhibit in 2007 at the US Open that I helped to curate with a guy named Gary Kogar. And that exhibit, about 25,000 people saw the exhibit in the US Open. And what was special about the exhibit is that people of all colors went through that, and many were in tears. And some young kids who happened to be white, I remember them saying to their mom, you know, I'm complaining about line calls. Imagine what these people had to go through. I knew then how important that history is, and it's American history. It's not just black history. And so one of the things that stuck with me, and I don't know how many of you know this, and the movie should be about, there was a guy named Don Budge, the first to win the Grand Slam. He won the Grand Slam, was the best white player in the world, but he wasn't sure if he was actually the best player in the world, because there's a guy named Jimmy McDaniel who won the ATA tournament for 3 years in a row. So he actually came to Harlem to play him. And he beat him, but he said this guy could be in the top 10. Imagine if he had lost. See, that history is American history that is so important. And so after the success of the Breaking the Barriers exhibit, which is to this day is still the most successful exhibit in the International Tennis Hall of Fame history, decided to start something called the Black Tennis Hall of Fame in 2007. And that was really to continue this legacy. I heard the name Vernon Jordan and some others that you played, Harold, and I with Bob Davis, a good friend of mine, who was a good friend of Arthur and he had talked about doing that, helped to grow that organization. D.A. Abrams over there and Sheila Curry have taken it. And so tomorrow night is our 13th induction ceremony virtually. So if you go online, it's bthof.org, bthof.org, and you register for it, and you will see some amazing people, including Alice Marble, inducted into the Hall of Fame. Yes. Now, Alice Marble, for those who don't know, is a white player who stood up for Althea Gibson. And so you know the saying, see something, say something. Well, that applies to the world of diversity. If you see, I see David Williams shaking his head, the diversity right. If you see something, say something. Because tennis is the great equalizer. And it is a sport that is really survived the test of time because of that. So one, I just want to end with a couple things. So one, it has been an honor to be on the board with Katrina Adams and Seth Abraham and Dave Haggerty and John Vagosin and some others. And being at the USTA board, it really gave me an insight into the potential of tennis. So I decided to start something called the New York Open, and we name, and we did it at the West Side Tennis Club first, and then the Central Park. And the idea is to make sure that tennis, quality pro tennis, is accessible to everybody. I love the US Open, but not everybody can afford the US Open. So one of my messages tonight is to encourage all of us to try to bring pro tennis to every community in the world. And it started an organization called the Global Tennis Alliance, which is trying to do that. So with that, I encourage each of you to think about your best friend tennis and what tennis has done to make you the person that you are. Thank you all. This is an incredible honor, and God bless.
Boy, that was good. All right, two more. When I found out I was going to be introducing these two, I brought props. So hold on a second.
Brought what?
Props.
Props.
Props. I never had dolls as a kid, but now I have. Wait, so this is my hero. This is my idol. But I know who Billie Jean's idol was. I got that one too. Ruth. Yeah, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I'm so honored anytime I'm sharing the air with Billie Jean and Alana. You all know what they've done on the court, off the court. I mean, this is one of my favorite couples. They've been together for over 40 years. That's a long time to be in business with somebody. They believe in social change. They believe in equality for all. They believe in gender equity. They believe in race equity. They've done so much, a lot of joint ventures. Global efforts in the workplace. And they live in New York City. I think they could live anywhere in the world. They live here. On and the thing is, I've gotten to know them over the years, because it didn't happen this year, but we share a flat every year at Wimbledon, right over Henman Hill. And it is the greatest, it's the best 2 weeks of my life, is being with Billie and Alana, watching Wimbledon, having a lot of laughs, eating a lot of Indian food, and just talking, and just being around them. And the best part of these two, I don't think they'd be where they are without each other. And what I always come away with is recognizing just how good they are to each other, with each other, and how kind they are, and how much they care about each other's lives. I come away from those 2 weeks and I just feel, I don't know, I just feel like a very different person. And I just, I cannot tell you how much it means to me to be with Ilana and Billie Jean King tonight. Give it up for these two remarkable people.
One, two, three, four. Thank you, Mary. You're right. We missed, oh, it's terrible this year without Mary. Because we always have great discussions about life. Oh, wow. I just want to congratulate every one of the recipients. My goodness, the stories and what tennis has done for us. And each and every one of you, how you matter and you influence, and how this sport, this sport made me. If it hadn't been, but relationships are everything. Because if Susan Williams had not asked me to play tennis in 5th grade, I'd never heard of tennis. I didn't know what it was. I always played team sports. If she's on my, I do a blessing list every morning when I'm waking up. Susan Williams is on every list every morning because it changed my life forever when I found tennis because of her. So just think about it in your lives. Who got you into tennis? Who made the difference? But so I have to always thank her. But I just am amazed. I mean, listening to everyone. Dr. Moore, just thank you so much for what you do for kids. And Freddie Boutus. I met him. I think I met you at the Armory. That's what I remember. And thank you for doing that tournament, because we didn't know what was going to happen for our future. And so, Dr. Caldwell, Black Hall of Fame, I love it. But thank you, New York. I don't know if you realize how important this section has been to my life. I first came here in 1959 as a 15-year-old and played in the U.S. Nationals then. And I had match point against Justina Bricka, who's another junior, and I lost. So that's my first memory. And then, of course, the subway. Ooh, the F train to the west side. I mean, all these things were happening. I mean, it's just amazing. And then one of my first shero, Althea Gibson, or Jackie Robinson tennis. And she's from this section. She lived in New Jersey, Northern, which is Southern's the other one. And then I just want to thank the Eastern section for being so supportive of World Team Tennis when we had that. We don't have it anymore. Everybody thinks we do. We haven't had it for years. But you're so good to us and everything. We really wanted to help the community. It's about equality and helping community, getting kids into the sport, because we all know what it does for us. So I want to thank you. And to some of my teammates, Mary played. We played on the New York team. Linda Siegelman, Sandy Mayer, who's from New Jersey. He's the reason I won Wimbledon in 1975. Vitas Gerulaitis was on the team. It was an amazing experience. Also, let's face it, there's this little National Tennis Center that I don't know how that will happen, but my name is up there, and I feel such responsibility. Okay, that's what I feel. And to Ilana, we actually met in South Africa, so that was when we were much younger, but it was just high. But later was when we got together, obviously a long time. But Ilana's made such a difference in my life, and we love tennis. And during COVID, to manage, I started hitting tennis balls for the first time in about 25 years. And Ilana puts it right on a dime. And we figured there's at least 3 people here tonight that are here for us. At least 3. Joe, Janet, and Paul. No, but those 3 are, anyway, thank you for being here. Paul plays with Ilana all the time. They practice, and Ilana can talk about Joe and Janet, the pal. And so anyway, I just want to thank you for all you've done. And thank you for serving in Vietnam. Really appreciate that. That means so much to our country. And you deserve the Bronze Star. And who did I forget? It's just great to see everybody and bless you. So thank you. Ilana, it's your turn, and thank you for everything, Ilana.
Well, I get to follow Billie Jean, and I know that I am standing between you and fresh air. So I will not be very long, I promise you. But really, I do want to thank Mark, Maria, the ETA board for this honor, Bob, Perrin, Jenny, for all your services. And it's really special to be able to share this evening with Billie Jean, who not only is my partner in life, but was my mentor and partner in work. And an honor like this does make one reflect and think about my journey that started in South Africa. I was fortunate enough to have parents who were incredibly supportive, and I know they're looking down tonight and are extremely proud of me. My sister, my coaches, my sponsors, my friends. As Billie always says, you never really do anything alone. So I'm incredibly grateful to everybody who helped me along the road. 11 years old, I met Billie Jean. I was a ball girl at the South African Open at Ellis Park, and we always say, if you can see it, you can be it. And as an 11-year-old kid, I get to see the very best players in the world, whether it was Pancho Gonzalez, Rod Laver, Lou Hode, Rosie Casals, Billie Jean, and many others. But Billie Jean took the time one day when I was hitting actually on an outside court with my dad because I was crazy about tennis, and she walked by the court and she stopped on the court and she said to my dad, I recognize your daughter, she's been picking up balls for me. And she looks pretty talented, would you mind if I hit a few balls with her? And she walked on the court and hit with me for 10 minutes, and that day I decided what I was going to do with the rest of my life. I wanted to become a professional tennis player. Little did I know that tennis wasn't professional yet. But my timing was pretty good. And so, that kind of brings me to New York. My first trip to America was in 1973 for the US Open. And on arriving at the West Side Tennis Club in Forest Hills, Jazz Singh, who was a mixed doubles partner of mine, introduced me to Janet and Joe DePel, who are here tonight. So, I was really green in those days. No cell phones. You wrote a letter, it took 3 weeks or a month to get home. No luggage with wheels. So it was a different time, but they welcomed me into their family. And they welcomed my family into their family. So, Joe and Janet, thank you for being here. And honestly, you are family. So, thank you. I fell in love with New York. The energy was exactly the opposite of what I grew up with in South Africa. And when I retired and I got a real job working with Billie Jean at World Team Tennis. We actually lived in New York and worked in New York, and it was incredible. And I really did then get to interact with Eastern And they couldn't have been more welcoming, more hospitable, and willing to help, and really cared about the sport first. So just incredible to be standing here tonight. You know, I'm thankful my parents got me to play and allowed me to follow my dreams. You know, it didn't matter if I was a girl and came from a quite religious Jewish family, but they sent me away and let me come and follow my dreams. So I'm incredibly grateful. I have a few heroes and sheroes. Obviously, Arthur Ashe came to South Africa. I think he helped bring the world to South Africa and change South Africa for all time. So, Nelson Mandela, who and Billie Jean King, and but what I will say is tonight, standing on this stage, I have 5 more heroes. So it's really an honor for me to be inducted with the class of 2021. So thank you very much.
Just want to say congratulations to these remarkable inductees. A sincere thank you to everyone who's here tonight. And please support the Junior Tennis Foundation. Good night, everyone.